If you want to see a real thorough explanation of this process, just watch my video on finishing the hock skins. And if you want to see any of my making leather videos, from skinning the deer all the way up to finishing it, just type making leather into the little search box at the top of my page, and that should bring up all my leather making videos, because I know I have quite a few videos on my channel now, and it might be getting a little hard for somebody to find something specific. But I'm no expert at this. This is just something I'm doing as a hobby, something I've always wanted to do, you know, save the skin off my deer and make some buckskin out of it, or make some leather out of it. That's all there is to it. I'm trying to stay away from those edges. I gotta work them a little bit as I go, but I really want to concentrate on the center of this hide where it's the thickest, because that's going to be the hardest part to get the moisture out of. The more you work this hide, the thinner it's going to get, and the bigger it's going to get, and the weaker it's going to get. The less you work it, the stiffer it'll be, the thicker it'll be, and the stronger it'll be. So it's kind of a trade-off based on what you want to make out of the leather. Me, I'm going to work it really good, because I'm hoping for just a nice, soft, supple piece of leather. I'm not even sure what I'm going to make with it. Well, here it is. It's day 2 of me finishing this leather. The edges are getting dry quicker than the center because they're so much thinner. So I've been spending a lot of the time working the edges, really, just to keep them oiled and keep them from cracking and getting brittle. I think I worked this a couple hours last night, and I went ahead and worked it a couple more hours tonight. And I think I worked it about a half an hour or maybe an hour earlier today. So I've probably been working it for about 4 hours on and off. It's still pretty moist in the center here. But I'm just going to go ahead and oil this grain side up real good again, and roll it up and bag it up to try and get some of that moisture in the center worked out to the edges, worked back in here, mainly just to get it out of the center. Otherwise I'll just be working it forever. But you can see it's starting to take on a different color. The way I've been rolling it up at night is I'll oil this grain side really good. Not real thick, but just a nice light coating all over the grain side. And then I'll flip it over. And fold in these thin edges onto this thicker, wetter part. You know, something like that. And then I just start at the butt, which is thinner than the neck. The neck is the thickest part. And I just roll it up, kind of, you know, a little bit loose, but not real loose. And then just stick it in a plastic bag. Seal it up nice in a plastic bag, and when I pull it out in the morning, that moisture is all redistributed back into those drier areas. And the middle section is drier too, which is nice. Makes it easier to work it. And then when I take it out, I just unfold it, flip it back over and start staking it, stretching it, pulling it, and working it back and forth over that staker. That's it. I'm going to get it oiled up before it dries out anymore. Alright, I figured I'd show you one last thing with this. As it starts getting dry and you start using a smaller object to work that leather, you're going to notice it lightening up. So what I've been doing is I've just been going around now and hitting all these dark spots with this small spoon so I can really get in there and work it and lighten up those dark spots. I mean, you can see as I draw that spoon across it, it lightens it right up. Hopefully you can see that in the video. And it stretches it out too. Stretches it out, loosens it up, and lightens up the color of it. But it's an easy way to see the spots that you haven't worked very well. Like right here, I just get in there and kind of micromanage these darker spots. Here's a pretty dark spot. See how that just lightens right up when I hit it with the spoon from underneath? You want to do all the working from the flesh side and leave the grain side alone. The side you see is the grain side. And if it starts looking dry, like I said, just add a little bit of oil and work it in. Well, here it is. This is my finished leather. Flesh side, grain side. basically I just kept working that dry over that staker and with that tablespoon, and adding just a little bit of oil here and there to the grain side as it dried out. And I worked on it for 3 days, and each day when I was finished working it, I just rolled it up and put it in a plastic bag to keep it from drying out overnight until I could work it again. And I believe I probably put about 6 hours, maybe 6 hours into working it dry. I really didn't keep track. I worked on it for an hour or two each day over a 3-day period. And each night before I wrapped it up and put it in the bag, I went over the entire grain side with a light coat of canola oil. And it turned out pretty good. I probably could have worked it a little more and it would have been a little softer, but that's good enough for me. Looks pretty nice. If you want this grain side to be softer, more like suede, you can go over it with a piece of sandpaper to kind of rough it up. I'm just going to leave mine as it is though. That's it. Bark tan leather, start to finish.